Your rebuttal, Mr. Filner.
Let me repeat that both the House and the Senate tried to pass the renewal of the so-called Bush tax cuts for 98% of Americans. The Republicans stopped it by they held their 2% of their wealthiest of Americans, millionaires and billionaires, as a hostage to us regular middle-class Americans. So that's what he's really saying. He keeps saying tax cuts for you. We wanted to pass tax cuts for you. They stopped it. They stopped it because they wanted the top 2% to be included. So let us have some of the facts here. So you know, we hear this incredible stuff that I mean, I don't know what ideology we're coming from. We have a private healthcare system. We have a private system here. Nobody has taken over the healthcare system. Come on. Everybody has their choice of doctor, their choice of hospital, their choice whatever. Do I get some extra time because of all the adulation from the crowd?
10 seconds.
Let me just say, this is far more complicated than Mr. Popaditch does. When we're talking about the economy of the Imperial County, we're talking about jobs, we're talking about green energy, we're talking about healthcare, we're talking about the environment. We have to move on all those fronts. It's not just a simple slogan of cut the taxes down.
Again, there it is. We're just not smart enough to get it. We need I'm a Tony, I'm a simple man. I will listen to you because I know out there are all the answers. I will listen to you and I will fight for you. I'm not going to sit up there and act like I know more than everybody in this community. I'll listen to you and I'll fight for you.
Mr. Filner, is Social Security worth saving?
Of course. Many of it, you know, it was probably one of the greatest acts that was passed in this country during the 20th century. And, allowed people to have a certain amount of dignity in their older years, allowed the people not to worry about their parents because they had this level of dignity. If you follow the logic of the platform of Mr. Popaditch, you have to get to cutting Social Security and Medicare. Because what he says is, raise the defense budget, which is already the biggest thing in ahead, cut the taxes of those who are the wealthiest amongst us, and balance the budget. There ain't nothing left, folks, except Social Security and Medicare. You can close every agency you want, education, energy, anything, and those add up to this much. The only way you can have a balanced budget by following the logic which exists, although he just repeats the first things, is to cut Social Security and Medicare. That's the logic of this position here. So if you want to save Social Security, you want to save Medicare, expand, in fact, the kind of dignity and the kind of life that provides for us seniors, then you better take that into account. Let me point out that before Social Security and Medicare passed, 80% of our seniors of this nation lived in poverty. Since those passed, it's reversed. 80% do not live in poverty. Let us not privatize, as the Republicans want to do. Let us not cut the benefits, as the Republicans want to do. Let us not cut Medicare, as the Republicans want to do. Let's retain those things to keep the dignity of our seniors.
I guess in addition to everything else, Mr. Filner, in addition to knowing more than us, he can also read minds because he can tell apparently what I'm thinking on this stuff. Now, I'll tell you what, I'm a man of honor, and I understand the difference between a promise and an entitlement. If you paid into Social Security, you paid into it your whole life, that's a promise that our government has made to you. I will never cut it. If you paid into Medicare your whole life, that's a promise. I will make sure that that is never cut. I will go there and fight for you, as opposed to Mr. Filner, who's accusing me of that, yet his very same Obamacare cut the Medicare. He's accusing me of what he did. And I tell you what, Mr. Filner, you start reading those bills, you're going to see there's plenty left to cut. There is plenty of those bills, plenty of those.
Your response, Mr. Filner.
A famous American once said, you must be either stupid or a liar to say something like that.
That's a great American statement.
I have the platform of Mr. Popaditch here. Says, national defense, cut the taxes of everybody, safer borders, et cetera, et cetera. The logic of balanced budget. The logic of that only leads to one thing. Only leads to one thing, because there is nothing to cut. There is nothing to cut besides Social Security and Medicare if you buy his program here.
Am I still up on this? No.
Oh, Mr. Popaditch, how do you feel about the estate tax, better known as the death tax to some?
Very quick, because I really don't like to speak to things that I don't have a large knowledge base about, but one thing I know is that the estate tax, if you spent your whole life building a business, if you spent your whole life working hard, and you work for things to pass down to your family, who the heck is a government to come and say, you know what, we're going to give it to somebody else? So I absolutely support cutting the estate tax. You earned it, you worked your whole life, what at least you do is pass it down to your family.
Your rebuttal, Mr. Filner.
The estate tax, the cutting of the estate tax is incredibly important to an agricultural community like Imperial County. If the farm is to be passed on to the family, also for farming, as many of the farmers here want to do, then the estate tax should be cut. In fact, eliminated for those who, and I have voted for elimination of estate tax. You're only for cutting it. Elimination of the estate tax if the family farm stays in the family. We should encourage that, and we should have our tax laws encourage it. And I'm for elimination of this estate tax where it can stay into, if your business stays in the family.
Woo!
Mr. Popaditch, do you have a response?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I think we actually found something we agree on.
Thank you.
Mr. Filner, do you support small business?
Of course. We know that small business is the engine, as we have heard, of the job creation in this country. And most of the bills that we have passed in the last 2 years have, in fact, helped small business. Look at the health care bill. In fact, if you want to read the whole thing, it says that small business, if they want to provide health care to their employees, and many want to and don't because of the expense, they get a 50% tax rebate for providing health care to their employees. That's a great thing to help small business. We just passed, before we left for recess, we just passed a bill that opens the capital markets and provides a better way to get capital very quickly. And our whole renewable energy program, which I've been working, as I said, with all the local officials in this county. The renewable energy industry is based on small business. You can't monopolize the sun. You can't monopolize the earth. You cannot monopolize the wind, like the few oil companies do for the oil industry, or the, so it will be a small business industry. That's what we need here in the Imperial County. That's, as I said earlier, that's our future, and that's what we should be encouraging. And in fact, that stimulus bill is the answer. It has tens of billions of dollars to help the Imperial County start its path to become the alternative energy capital of the world.
Okay, he says that he supports small business, but what has he been up here for 45 minutes talking about, that millionaire tax? Well, that millionaire tax isn't actually a millionaire tax. It's those over $200,000 for a home and $250,000 for sole proprietors. That's 75% of small business. That's 1 million small businesses out there he's talking about raising the taxes on. So, I mean, there's what you say and there's what you do. The government accountant, the CBO scored this, that it was going to cost us 2.4 million jobs if we did this, if we did not get this Bush tax cut for that wealthiest of Americans. 2.4 million jobs. I'll tell you what, you can say one thing, but if you're talking about raising a tax on them, you're talking about something else. And as far as cap and trade is one of those big unknowns on our small business. You're going to raise the operating cost of every small business out there. You voted for that. Voted for cap and trade. It's going to raise operating costs in every small business. So he's talking about raising the taxes on every small business and raising the operating costs in every small business. I don't know, with friends like that, I don't think I need enemies.
Mr. Filner, your response.
Popaditch is wrong about the statistics of the tax cuts. There are a couple percent of small businesses who are in that upper category. But if the Republicans would work with us, we could exempt those. That's easy. That's an easy compromise. But what the Republicans said was no, 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 no. And so we couldn't even negotiate an exemption for small business. They held hostage the richest Americans and prevented your tax cuts in favor of their friends who are millionaires and billionaires.
Okay.